Player's Own Voice podcast on location again in my hometown of Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And here is what we're talking about. Speed skating, surprise! Ivanie Blondin, one of the sport's greatest athletes, not just from Canada, but the world. She's got a lot to talk about. Beijing's right around the corner.
Thanks so much for taking the time, my friend.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Trying to make it work.
Can we just point out the elephant in the room, the parrot in the room? Who is this?
This is Gizmo. I've had him since 2010, so a little while, and he was a couple months old when I got him. So, yeah, he's an African gray parrot. He's quite interesting character.
He's been making alarm sounds and cell phone sounds.
Yeah, and he clears his throat like a human, and he whistles.
There you go.
The phone. So you guys might hear him. He really likes to call my coach Remelt.
Remelt.
Yeah,
Remelt.
Remelt. He.
How is that going? I mean, of course, Remelt is such a significant. Thank you, Gizmo. such a significant force in your skating life and your personal life too. I mean, you guys have such a connection. You're going into your third Olympic season.
Yeah,
How
I know.
Are you feeling?
It's crazy. It's crazy to think that I'm this old now. It's weird, actually.
If you're old, then I'm ancient.
Oh my gosh, not even. But yeah, no, it's good, and I'm just excited, And last Olympics was a big boo-boo for me, I guess, in a way. I felt like I really didn't represent myself in the country the way I wanted to. So I'm hoping that I can turn things around this time and perform better. And I think we have a real shot, especially in the team pursuit. And I'm hoping I can stay on my feet this time for the mass start. So no, I'm really excited. I feel really confident right now going into the Olympic season. And this past week was definitely a mental struggle, which I think is only natural given the past year that we've had with COVID and not competing much. But it's exciting for sure.
How are you a different person than the Ivanie Blondin of 2017?
I think just back then, I didn't rebound as well as I could. Bad performances would come, or I'd have ups and downs, and the downs were really, really low and the ups were really high as well. But I found myself in a state where sometimes I couldn't get out of the really lows, and I just kept digging myself a hole. And so if bad performances come now, this past weekend, for example, I wasn't very happy with my 3K. I went up to the mountains. My 1,000 meter maybe was affected by that, but whatever. And then I rebounded in the 1,500 the next day. So I don't know. I think I'm a different person mentally than I was back then. I think I'm a lot stronger. And after 2018 Olympics, for an entire season, I suffered with depression. And I think that was a huge learning curve for me of how to overcome these hard moments and how to look past all the negative energy and the negative thoughts in my head. So
what was the biggest lesson that you learned through some of those down months after Pyeongchang?
I think one of the biggest lesson that I learned is to just focus on myself and not focus on others. It can be really hard, especially in individual sport, not to look at your teammates and be like what are they doing different than I am, and how can I be better and whatever. So I think it's really important to focus on yourself and focus on your process. And for sure, this past weekend too, I was kind of asking myself the question, what am I doing different? Why all of a sudden, am I not the number one and across every single distance, which has happened in the past, but at the same time, we're all in different stages. We're all trying to peak for different moments. And I'm doing different things in training and mentally too, just I'm in a different spot right now. So it's focusing on yourself, but also focusing on the process in order to achieve the result. I think is also something that's really important. So
isn't that funny? I think people see the Olympics every 2 years or 4 years, of course, and they think, oh, these kids must be under so much stress for the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And yet it's actually a whole year.
Yeah.
Olympic year is so incredibly stressful, and you're hypersensitive.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard, it happens every 4 years, and 4 years ago that's a long time. I don't like I remember 4 years ago, like 2018, but at the same time, it's like it was so long ago that it's like it's not that fresh in my memory of like these things happening. And so yeah, it's strange. Olympic season is just like a really weird season, I think, for all of us. So.
No, you're always like, why am I not doing this or what? You know,
Yeah.
you're just analyzing everything all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just to get back to Pyeongchang really quickly, what were some of the things that actually helped you get out of that depression?
The people around me, for sure. Like he was my boyfriend then, but my husband now, Conrad. And after the games, I actually flew directly to Hungary, and I was celebrated over there. You know, like they didn't see my performances as a disappointment. And in a way that kind of, it helped me. But then when I flew back to Canada afterwards, it's like, that's when it really hit me of like, I'm coming home medalless and I felt like a failure. And just surrounding myself with the things that made me happy were really important. And so obviously the animals. And I also started fostering for the Cochrane Humane Society. And so I just kept kind of filling the house with like more and more broken animals and trying to like make them better and adoptable in the end. And I focused a lot on like the hard cases. So dogs that had like brain injuries and things like that, and then like would rehab them to a point where they could be adopted. And in a way, like I was helping these animals, but it was also like helping me because I felt like I had a purpose. And so it was just that whole year was just like trying to like find myself and like rebuild my self-esteem and make myself feel happy again. And it was tough. Like I definitely had some hard moments, but I'm glad, obviously, like the support system that I had around me, and also Remold coming in. And I think he shined like a different light on everything. He's such an incredible human being, and he's like one of my closest friends. He's my coach, but in a way, like I do see him also as like my best friend. So it's nice to kind of have that person that can like understand you, and like there's kind of like an unconditional like love that like I think we both share, and we're very similar in personalities, and I think that's why it's so easy sometimes, but also it can be difficult too. And just like I don't know, I do truly feel like he cares for me as a human being first, and then an athlete second. And I think that's really important to have the human side of it. And when I need to go up to the mountains, he was the first one. Like at first, between the 3K and the 1,000, as an example, I was supposed to go do grassy lakes. Like
I just did it.
Super like nice, easy hike.
It's such an easy hike. My lungs were burning. I was my first red flag. I'm like, well, okay, I got to get back on the treadmill.
Yeah. And so I was driving out there, and I like called Remel, and I was like, hey, like, I don't know if I should do grassy, like it's a short hike. And I'm like, I feel like I'm kind of like not wasting my time, but I was looking for like more of an adventure. Yeah. You know, and I was like waiting for him to be like, no, go do something else that's like, it doesn't. And then he just told me, like, I didn't even ask the question. He was like, just, it doesn't matter if it's 1 hour, if it's 3 hours, it's like whatever is going to like make you feel better mentally. And I was just like, okay, like here's my chance to do the challenge that I want to do. And so I just kept driving up Spray Lakes and went all the way past Spray Lakes. And then I knew that Tent Ridge, I had never done it before. Mm-hmm. I also didn't know that you're supposed to do it clockwise and not counterclockwise. So I did the opposite direction, which was really hard. And there was quite a bit of snow, and I didn't have crampons. I didn't have poles. I was not prepared. I was wearing like leggings and La Sportiva, like running shoes. And
yeah,
like,
maybe a little unprepared. Yeah.
I was very unprepared, and like quite honest, like it was a little bit sketchy at the top with like the snow shelves and stuff like that. And like, I had Brooke with me, of course, but I think mentally, like that's what I needed. And that's kind of like how he sees the situation too. Like Remel's just like, whatever you need to do mentally in order to be better on the ice, then that's what you need to do. You know, like it's not like you need to do this. It's like figure yourself out first, and then skate second, kind of thing.
When you were working on yourself, you know, you mentioned the animals, of course, and you can't see Brooke right now on the camera. I would love to just hold a microphone because she's snoring loudly. We'll get a shot of her. But when you were working on yourself, especially after Pyeongchang, you know, unfortunately going through clinical depression, was there a moment on ice that made you think, oh, I love speed skating? Or was it all the work off the ice that actually reframed kind of your relationship with sport?
I think it was all the work off the ice in that season. When I like remembered like how much I did love skating was actually like the following season when I got back on the ice and I had this new light and like just a different feeling of how like I stepped on summer ice and it was just a different feeling, you know, like I didn't need to be on medication anymore and like didn't have migraines every day and just I felt not anxious like showing up at the oval and like that was the first sign kind of is like the anxiety surrounding the oval and like to just even show like present myself to training every day like I didn't want to do that versus like the year after the games I felt like not anxious anymore. I was happy again. I was like happy to surround myself with the people from skating. So yeah, it was I don't know, it's different I guess.
You told me a quick anecdote though after Pyeongchang they were replaying all the races from 2018 on the Jumbotron in the oval.
Yeah.
And you had so much pressure going into those Olympics. And you had said, I just broke down and cried on ice because it was so visceral. You were on ice and you were watching your races from an Olympics that was unfortunately tremendously disappointing for you.
Yeah.
Does that live in your head?
Not anymore. Like back then, like it just hit me, you know, it was like one of those Olympic recaps that they like highlight like all the moments kind of that like that stood out at the games. And like one of the images they showed was our team pursuit team. And that was a hard hit for us, you know, like we finished 4th. We lost to the Americans in the final, which was like a huge blow to our team. And like a lot of things happen at the games that I'm just like I don't like to relive. But yeah, it was like a flashback. Like I saw it on the screen and I was like reliving the same emotions that I had like lived at the games. And it's hard. Like I just broke down and I started crying and Remmel came to sit next to me on the bench. I like got off the ice. I don't even think I finished the practice that day. And he was just like, he didn't care that I wasn't finishing practice. He was just there, you know, like not asking questions. Like I think he already knew what was going on. But yeah, he was just there to support me and that's really all I needed at that moment. So
you were such a generational skater and it's kind of fun for me to say that because like, you know, I think the first time we competed against each other was probably 2000 in Sault Ste. Marie on that 333 meter track. Yeah. I had the flu and I remember they were serving chili at lunch and I was like, I'm going to barf. But you are truly, I mean, you work incredibly hard, but you are so talented and so good at so many things. I mean, I've said this to you privately. You remind me a little bit of a Cindy Clausen, right?
Yeah.
Who is still the greatest all-around speed skater of all time.
Yeah.
Have you felt pressure to specialize either way?
I don't know. Like, I feel like I don't really feel the pressure, I guess, to specialize in, like, you mean a specific distance?
Yeah,
or?
I mean, like, again, like, to put it in layman's terms, like, no one is convincing Usain Bolt to run the 400 meter.
Yeah.
But you can do, you know, like an Eric Heiden, 5K, 3K, 15,000, team pursuit, mass start.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard for sure. And like, and sometimes there's some weekends that I feel better at the 15. There's some weekends that I feel better at the 5K. Like it just depends. It's like, it's a very strange situation, I guess. But then again, like the fact that women in the past have been able to do it, like Cindy, and it's becoming, I think, less and less common. But I still feel like I somehow can manage those distances. And I think the fact that I proved to myself 2 years ago that I was able to medal like first on the podium in every single distance that I entered for two weeks or 2 weekends in a row, I think that to me is assurance that it's possible, you know, like I can do it. It's like whether or not I'm going to peak at the right time. And I think that's the piece, like that's the puzzle piece of figuring it out. And also just like making sure I hit all like the trainings that I need to hit. You know, it's a lot of training, especially when you're trying to train for like kind of like sprinty distances and then like the extreme long distances to team pursuit and mass start. Like there's so many different events, but at the same time, I feel like my character kind of brings that out too. So I don't know.
No, you're a gutsy skater.
Yeah.
You are.
I try to be.
You can see it on TV, and even if you don't know anything about the sport, you lay your heart on the ice.
Yeah.
We, of course, are having this conversation right on the tail of Canadian Championships.
Yeah.
You won the 1500 meter, but you also were really candid. You were like, I haven't felt that good.
Yeah.
Like, what do you make of that?
I don't know. I think that day, I actually think Shannon is the one that really like pulled me together that day.
Shannon Rempel.
Yeah, Shannon Rempel.
Yeah.
I like that night, or after my 1,000 actually, I told Remmelt that I wasn't skating the 15, and he was really upset about it. And like we didn't talk after that. He was just like, okay, and like that's how the conversation ended. And then I was like, screw this, like I want nothing to do with this, like screw the 15. Like I was done. Like in my mind I was so done. And that was like a little bit of the old Ivanie that came out of like jumping to conclusions. Like the 1,000 meter it wasn't terrible, but it like didn't go as planned, you know. Like I feel like I should have won that race, but I didn't. And part of that probably was the 3.5 hour hike that I did the day before.
Yeah, that might be the case. Let me tell you. Take it from a sprinter. Do less.
Yeah, I know, but I just whatever. Anyways, and then Shannon, I showed up at the Oval, and I had like kind of like a flashback moment of anxiety. Like I did not want to be at the Oval. My mindset was like get in and out as fast as possible, so show up very last minute to be able to warm up. I don't do warm ups on ice. And so I showed up at like last minute, sat by my bike for like 5 minutes, and then got on. And before I got on my bike, Shannon came to sit next to me, and I had headphones in, hood up. Like I wanted nothing to do with anyone. Didn't even say hi to anyone, or like didn't even talk to Remmelt. And Shannon came in and came to sit next to me, and she's like, I know you feel like shit, but like we have to focus on like points in your race, like technical cues that will get you through the race. And that was, for me, it was not stepping with my left too far in the corners, hips under, and keeping the shoulders tight and not like going too much from side to side and like swaying like sometimes I do when I'm tired. And those were the 3 points that I just thought of in the race. And I think the fact that I was hyper focused on those 3 points, and like once I was on the line, I think usually like I get to the line and like whatever happens off the ice, I can usually like table it. And like I'm so focused on winning all the time that that's what happened that day.
But it was such a big bounce back. I mean, you won the 1500 meter, admittedly not feeling your best, skated 154, which is incredibly competitive for mid-October with very few people in the stands. But what work have you done on yourself to like heal yourself when it's not coming to, you know? Because like when races are coming and you're winning and you're skating well, it's like, oh yeah, I'm over
easy.
that.
Yeah.
It's so hard though when you don't skate as well.
Yeah, I don't know, just focusing on the points of like technical cues to like off the ice, just like focusing on myself, like what can I do to like make my days better. And like it's been hard lately because like my husband's not in town, and like he used to, like we, for the past 3 years, we spent like almost every single day together, every minute together, like training, competing, on the road together, everything. And this past season, because of COVID and also it being Olympic season, his team decided to keep him in Hungary.
Yeah, he's Hungarian.
And training with the Hungarian team in Germany and Innsbruck. They don't have an oval in Hungary yet. So that's been hard because it's like we just got married in December, and then all of a sudden we have to spend like almost an entire year apart. So it's difficult. And like his home is here, you know, like all his stuff is here. Like he's in Hungary right now, but only with like the bare minimum of what he needs. Yeah. And like we've got the bird, we've got the dog. Like it's a lot, especially like for me to try to handle everything as well. Like things like getting the winter tires put on and like just like random stuff, you know, of like, so it's been hard, but like, I don't know. I try to like stick to the basics of like, hey, what do I need to do today to like feel better for tomorrow? Or I don't know. A lot of dog walking.
A lot of dog walking. Well, you're going biking in Spain though. You got a big training camp. Yeah. What does that do? I'm always interested in people's relationship with their bikes because
I love cycling. At first it was like a love-hate relationship actually. when I was younger, because I liked biking, but I would constantly, like when I was first on the long track team, I was always getting dropped. I was always like, couldn't even like do like 60 kilometers without like crying and like.
Now you're speaking my language.
Yeah, I'm sure you like know what I'm talking about here. But like, no, over the years, I've gotten better at cycling, and like now I have this beautiful bike that I ride on with like, it's a Liv, so it's like a woman specific bike. And it's, yeah, I don't know. I love cycling and like the places that it brings us as well. And like, we're going to Spain, like how incredible is that? But also just like every single time in the past that I've gone either to Phoenix or somewhere warm or like Spain and then gone to compete right afterwards, I've always like excelled so well. And I don't know if it's just like the mental break of the ice and the competing and like just having kind of like that like more chill attitude to training and not stressing about every single thing, or just giving your body that break it needs from this being in position, you know?
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I think speed skaters like train too specifically for too long, and we don't give our body like breaks that it like needs to recover like physically to be able to perform. So for me, I'm like really looking forward to going to Spain and kind of putting the skates away for a week and just biking and just like enjoying the scenery and enjoying the 3 hours of destroying myself on the bike.
Let me tell you, if you need a support vehicle, I will go. I will drink a lot of wine and prosciutto. I'll eat lots of prosciutto, but I would be happy to go to Spain with you.
It's funny actually, because last time we did it was actually like the week right before I won all those gold medals. And so for me, it's like it's bringing back kind of like those memories of like we're going back to Spain, and I'm super excited. But also like speaking of that, Remelt and Mark Desney, who also used to be a speed skater back in the day, back in the
good old days.
They also came to Spain last time, and they usually rent a scooter. And they double up on the scooter, which is super freaking funny.
It's like a romantic comedy.
And they've got like the bucket helmets. And like Mark's usually the one obviously like at the back, like holding Remelt, and like Remelt's such a tall dude and Mark's like a little bit shorter, and like he's just like rides by us with like the funniest, it's like kind of like Nacho Libre, you know? Kind of reminds me of like scenes from that. And so I don't know, it's just like the whole situation around Spain is like, it's so exciting.
It's a nice reset. You were so lovely too. Like, you were quite candid while watching Tokyo 2020, and how that was a nice reset, and also how much inspiration you got from some of the performances, of course. And you mentioned specifically Evan Dunphy. Yeah. So Evan came fourth, of course, in Rio, and then walked away. Yeah. No pun intended. Speed walked away. God, that's just, I hate dad jokes. I just did one. He walked away with a bronze medal. Yeah. Like, what was so inspiring for you with that?
I watched that entire race, and not because of like what happened in Rio for him, but just, I don't know, like he's always been an athlete that's very inspiring to me. Like he's like, I feel like we're very different personalities, but just how like he just seems like a funny dude, you know? He seems like someone that like I want to know, or want to hang out or like drink a beer with, kind of thing. But no, just like I see myself in him in a way that like in Rio he walked away. I know. Oh, Lord. He walked away without a medal, and then he came back, and like just the way he finished the race like this, like and got on the podium was so like inspiring to me, because he came from, I think he was like fifth, and then he was fourth, and then he kind of just like fiddled his way through, and like he was with, I can't remember what's his name. Him and another guy were like going back and forth for a while, and then he just like, it's like he found his other gear, and it was just like, no, I am getting that medal. And like the motivation that I saw like in that race of how he finished that race is like, it was inspiring. Like I want to be in those shoes, you know, like I want to be Evan Dunphy. I don't know, it's just, I got a lot of inspiration just from that one moment and that one race. Like it was satisfying to watch, you know, like it gives me butterflies when I think about it, and I think it's such a special moment for him, but like for all of us, like to experience that with him was cool.
Oh, you can be Evan Dunphy. I mean, you can be Ivanie Blondin, but you know, Beijing is it's a few months away. Yeah. How much pressure do you put on yourself not to obsess over the Olympics every day? It's so hard.
It is hard, but like I said, like I I don't know. I feel like I'm almost like I'm at peace with what happened previously. And like, of course I want my revenge, but in a way, like I feel more at peace than I did obviously back then. And part of that is just being happy with myself and trying to like enjoy the moments like outside of skating too. And like, like I got married in the last year and like I have a beautiful dog. I have the bird he's a shit disturber, but
Gizmo.
Come here. But yeah, like I don't know, just to enjoy life. And like at the end of the day, like skating doesn't like what happens at the Olympics or what happens in skating like is not going to frame my entire life, you know. Like there's things outside of skating that are just as important. And I think it's really, I don't know, I think as an athlete to come to that realization I think is really important, and to not put too much pressure on yourself too. So I don't know, as long as I go to the games and I do my best, I think I need to be proud of myself either way, versus last time it's like I tried to do my best but it didn't work out and I felt like a disgrace. So
I can promise you that you are not a disgrace, and I can say with confidence that you will do your best. Is he gonna bite me?
He might.
Oh, okay. Gizmo. Thank you for being.
laughing?
Yeah, he's like
laugh?
he was laughing at some darker moments throughout this entire, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's kind of
Oh
funny like
Lord.
that.
So what happens between now and going to China?
We're going to Spain for a week, and then we go to Poland for World Cup #1, and then Norway World Cup #2, and then we come home for a week. We're supposed to go to Salt Lake, but I heard rumors it might be 2 weekends in Calgary in a bubble. We're not sure yet. Like, there's a lot of rumors.
Bless this mess, COVID-19.
I know. I think it's like the reasoning behind that is it's really hard for certain countries to get visas to get into the States.
Yeah.
And with different vaccinations and whatnot. So we're not quite sure exactly what's going to happen there. But if it's 2 weekends in Calgary, like I think I'd be happy with that. Like I love skating. Salt Lake is probably like my favorite ice to skate on. Just it's so grippy, and I don't know, like maybe the fact that I skate always in Calgary, maybe I take that for granted, but Salt Lake for me is like I love that ice surface, and it feels so good to skate there. So we'll see, like, and then after that, depending on if I'm pre-qualified or not, I would potentially either go to Mexico with the Hungarian team or to Quebec City to qualify spots that I'm not qualified in. So
very cool. So you're a busy woman, of course. But you know what? We actually just connected with a bunch of the legends from yesteryear, like Christina Groves and Katrina, Shannon, of course. I've spoken to Cindy Clausen, and they're so excited for this team. It's
insane. Like there's
something really special going on.
Yeah, the depth too that we have is incredible. Like the men's 15 or the men's 1,000, the men's 500. Like every single distance right now, I feel like is like jacked.
Yeah.
And we haven't had that for a long time. Like we would have one distance that we'd have like 3 or 4 skaters that were performing really well, but the field that we have now is like insane, and like we don't know what's gonna happen, you know, like. And also just like the young ones, like for example, like Ced Brunet, how he qualified in the 500, and like it's so incredible the fact that he was able to do that, and he got like a second PB or something. And then the next day, like people were like, oh, you know, like maybe it's a one-off race that he did this, and then the next day he skated a 35.0, so it's like it wasn't just a one-off race.
How does it feel to be such a leader on the team now?
I don't know. Like I still see myself a little bit as a rookie for some reason. Like
don't ever lose that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
like
you've been around the block now that you're probably not a rookie.
But I was a rookie for so long that I still feel like if someone were to call me like rookie, like I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. Like just another day, you know. So I don't know. It like in a way, yeah, I do feel kind of like the mama hen of like taking care of the ducklings and whatnot sometimes, and especially when like things go sideways, like in our training group, or if someone's struggling, and like sometimes it's hard lessons, but at the same time, like I feel like when I was younger too, like I got hard lessons from Nesbitt and Britt and you and like all the older girls that came before me. So I don't know, I feel like it's kind of natural for me too to like want to take care of other people. Or
you're
like
good with animals. Mama hen to all the ducklings, and you've got Gizmo right on you, right here. So
so
that's quite poetic. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the POV
thank you.
podcast.
Thank
And
you
this
for
is
having
like this is our first Dr. Doolittle episode, and I need
we
Brooke.
need to get
Can you
Brooke
wake
here.
up?
Brooke, come
Can
here.
you wake up, honey?
Come here.
I don't know if we could get your snores on
Come on this
audio, but I think that the folks need to see. Yes. Okay, tell me what's so special about Ivanie. Okay, thank you. There we are.